Good evening. I am Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. Tonight, I want to talk about Roe versus Wade, transgender education in our schools, and I want to talk about city officials using fake Facebook accounts to attack residents. Let's talk about it. Good evening. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. Happy Saturday, Yonkers. Today, I want to talk about transgender education in our elementary schools, Roe versus Wade, and some of our local elected officials using fake Facebook accounts to attack residents. Who's doing that?
An emotional Rockland Academy teacher addressing a packed house of parents, many furious about her decision to discuss the topic of gender identity inside her kindergarten class.
It was never my intent to harm any students, only to support them through a difficult situation.
The teacher defended her actions to read two books she says were given to her by a transgender child going through a transition.
The kindergartners came home very confused about whether or not you can pick your gender, whether or not they really were a boy or a girl.
Parents say besides the books, the transgender student at some point during class also changed clothes and was revealed as her true gender. And many parents say they feel betrayed and blindsided.
I want her to hear from me as a parent what her gender identity means to her and to our family. Not from a book that may be controversial.
My daughter went home crying, shaking, so afraid that she could turn into a boy.
The issue was not on the agenda, so parents spoke out during Monday night's public comment.
It's really about the parents being informed and involved and, giving us the choice and the rights about, what's getting introduced to our kids and at what age.
Many teachers also speaking out in support of what transpired inside the classroom on the last days of the academic year.
Head in the direction of banned books or book lists or selected literature that should only be read inside or outside of the classroom. I think that that's a very dangerous direction to go.
My mom's email is
Well, I wanted to just show that there, folks. Parents upset because a teacher decided to speak about transgender sexual orientation in a classroom without informing parents, and they were upset about that. They were very upset. So I want to talk about that a little bit. School districts are embroiled in a battle over whether to teach children in grades K to 3, kindergarten to 3rd grade, about being transgender. Advocates for this are suggesting teachers read students a book called Introducing Teddy. The book is about a boy teddy bear that transitions into a girl teddy bear. However, many districts as well as parents are opposed to the idea. Now, I understand what many of the parents were saying. They want to be the ones to be able to speak to their kids about this, and they especially want to know if a teacher is going to speak about it in the classroom. I think one of the biggest issues is the age of the students, at what grade they want to introduce this as. They're talking about kindergarten to 3rd grade. Those who disagree with transgender education in elementary school are also supported by science, which shows that only a very small percentage of the population experience gender dysphoria, or what is commonly referred to as being transgender. About 0.6% of the population, according to the UCLA School of Law's William Institute, an LGBTQ think tank. As a result, they believe that there is no reason to include transgender education into the curriculum. They say it would only serve to confuse 99.4% of the students, as you heard some of the parents saying there, that their children came home very confused. Again, it will confuse 99.4% of the students who don't have a gender dysphoria condition. And what about the parents? What about the parents of the 99.4% of the students who are not transgender and most likely not going to be a part of the LGBTQ community? What will the conversations look like at home when your kindergarten comes home asking you all sorts of questions that you may not have the answers to? Perfect example, a week ago, my daughter told me her friend was pan. My daughter is 10, and I've been trying as hard as possible, right? As hard as possible as a parent to keep her mind as pure as possible, because I want my kids to remain as innocent as possible for as long as I can, right? I want to keep them innocent, right? But it's becoming more and more difficult. No matter how hard we can try as parents, you have so much working against you. Once upon a time, parents were only worried about their kids watching too much MTV. Today, we have to check what they watch, what they listen to in terms of music, internet, social media, and you know, and human trafficking. We have to be aware of kids being kidnapped, and this is actually a very real threat. At the school that my wife worked at in the Bronx, 2 students at the time that she was there almost were kidnapped. And and what happens is that these human traffickers hire local gang members to go around the neighborhood and grab children. And so 2 students were almost pulled into a van. Luckily, that didn't happen. So that's something that parents just should be aware about. Human trafficking, child abduction is very, very, very real, right? So again, we're trying to keep our kids, as innocent as possible, especially at young age. We don't want to talk to them about certain things. And it's not just about transgender sexual orientation, but any sexual orientation or anything about sex. I mean, we want to let them grow up a little bit, let them play with toys, let them play, with Ninja Turtles like I used to do at 10 years old. I didn't have friends telling me they were pan. I wasn't discussing this, but to have my daughter come to me last week and say, my friend is pan. And, and I don't even know what that is. I don't know what that is at all. So, I'm like, how do I speak to my daughter about this, if I don't even know what it is, right? So I have yet to explain how to my daughter, how she was conceived in the first place, let alone talk to her about transgender or what it means to be a part of the LGBTQ community. And here I was like a deer in headlights when she asked this, or she told me this, as I tried to figure out how to respond, right? I said, what does that mean? She is pan. Pan what? Right? She said, my daughter said that my friend loves everybody, right? My daughter goes on to say, my friend loves everybody, and that's what pan means. And I said, well, I love everybody too. I don't think I'm pan, right? I don't consider myself pan, right? But according to Webster's dictionary, because it's not that simple, according to Webster, pansexual means relating to or characterized by sexual or romantic attraction that is not limited to people of a particular gender identity or sexual orientation. So how does a 5th grader, based on that definition, come up with the conclusion that she is pan? I think she is confusing it because she does not have all the full understanding, especially because there's more to it, right? Like sex, you have to talk about the sex part, right? But she thinks it's all about just you love people. So you love everyone, so you're pan. And that's where some of the confusion with young kids comes in, right? So should we be discussing this with kids in kindergarten and 3rd grade? My 10-year-old daughter has now been introduced to the idea of pansexual, and I had not had the opportunity to do so myself. And I have not had a conversation, with her about just regular sex, how babies are born and stuff like that. We still kind of dodge that question. I mean, not the question that she's asked. She hasn't really asked, but we haven't really talked about it, right? But she's asking me, she's kind of like skipped that and then's gone on to like pan and stuff like that. So I explained it all to her my way, right? I kind of started to, I said, I got to have this conversation now that she's been introduced to it. It's that time. So I had the conversation my way, the way I want my kids to understand it, because I and my wife, and no one else are my kids' role models, not social media, not celebrities, and surely not the government, which I have this feeling, I have a gut feeling that desensitizing our kids to sex and violence is being done with intentions, right? So you guys ever listen to Kids Bop? I don't know if your kids put that on. My kids like to put on Kids Bop in the car. And I listen to it, and I just don't understand how some of these songs could be on Kids Bop. I know they try to change the words around, 1 or 2 words here and there, but the overall context of this song, or the overall, meaning of the song, is not one that kids should be listening to. Right? They shouldn't be engaging in that type of, issues and those type of topics, those type of discussions. I don't care if you change a word or two. And I'm like hearing these songs on Kids Bop. I'm like, wait a minute, this is not okay. This is not cool for kids to be singing this. It still doesn't sound appropriate, no matter how much, they change it. Right. So they remake these songs that kids have no business singing, and kids shows have been dealing with more adult topics. Right. Have you been noticing that kids shows deal with more adult topics, sex? They're talking about relationships, but further into like kissing and having sexual, things that they're doing. And I'm just like, why, they're talking about this stuff and these shows that are geared towards kids, right? Whatever happened to, Saved by the Bell? Gone are the days of Saved by the Bell and Saturday morning cartoons. And does anyone remember the after school specials? Anyone remember those? I used to love the after school specials, right? What about Growing Pains and Family Matters and the Cosby Shows? All shows with positive messages and images that encourage family unity, love, and the importance of having a good moral character. Now our kids are bombarded with images of sex and violence, as well as games for kids that influence kids to become selfish, mean, and violent while earning rewards, right? Like Grand Theft Auto, where you shoot people and you steal their money and you steal their cars and you get rewards and you get to buy a big house. What do you think that does psychologically to children? How is that conditioning them? I know it's a video game. Some people say, oh, it's just a video game. But it's conditioning young minds that are impressionable, that are growing, that are developing. And that's why I think that this is not the best idea to be taught in elementary school, because the kids' minds are still developing, still trying to understand and figure these things out. These are adult topics. Now, yes, children, and again, it's according to data, it's a very small percentage of the population. But yes, children, there are some children who are transgender. They feel for one reason or another that they're not the sex that they were born. However, that is an issue or a discussion for that person, their family. And now there are a lot of outlets for people to get help, therapy, and to get assistance and to kind of cope with it in groups that are there that they can go to so they can understand this. And people are becoming more and more tolerant of it, right? And I don't know if people were super not tolerant of it before, just because you didn't really see it a whole lot. I mean, growing up, I didn't see the transgender people. I didn't go to school with anyone who said they were transgender. So we didn't really deal with that. But people are becoming more tolerant. People are more accepting, right? And I'm accepting. I accept everyone, right? But however, again, as this think tank said, it should not be introduced to the curriculum because 99.4% of the population are not going to be transgender. Right. And so to introduce it, on a mainstream basis, especially to young, impressionable minds, children who are going to be confused, who are going to come home asking parents questions that even the parents may not be able to answer themselves, forcing conversations at home that maybe parents did not want to have at home because of their beliefs, their religious beliefs or spiritual beliefs or cultural beliefs. And they should not be forced to have to change how they feel, how they view, or what they want to believe, because that's what the schools are saying to, or the government is saying to do. So that's my thing with it. I don't think it should be forced on everyone, especially at a young age. I remember when they talked to us about sex, it wasn't until like middle school. I was in 7th grade, and then they even gave us like forms that we had to go and get permission from our parents. And I didn't get mine. I forgot. So I had to wait, but it was only one time, one class, they did it once and that was that. It wasn't this whole education on, transgender sex or anything else like that. Right. And I think they should definitely wait. Right. Psychologically, I believe it has serious impacts on some children. The younger the child is, the more difficult it is to differentiate what's right and wrong. Therefore, certain information cannot be introduced to too early or the child, to a child's brain, because they may have trouble processing that information, right? Because it has not fully developed. So you're trying to explain to them that some people are born a man, let's say, but they feel like they're a woman. And, how do you explain that to kindergarten and 3rd graders? I just don't see that. And it's like the parents you saw in the video, kids are going to come home. They're going to question, am I going to turn into it? Am I going to feel like that at some point? They're going to have all these questions when they should really be focusing on their education. They should focus on life skills, things that they're going to actually come into contact with regularly. Like One person said last time I spoke about it, learning about their credit score, financial literacy, being kind to each other, loving each other. Just teach people to be kind. We don't have to, say, hey, be kind to this person because he's transgender, or be kind to this person because they're Black. Be kind to that person for this reason. No, just be kind to people. Be kind to humans. I think if we just pump that general message out and we just teach kids to be generally nice to people, it doesn't matter if the person's transgender, Black, purple, pink, white, blue, brown, whatever, if they got 5 eyes, 10 heads, they're still going to be kind to them because they've learned to be kind people. So let's focus on teaching kids to be loving and kind, and I think the rest will fall into place, right? That's just my 2 cents. Even putting it in cartoons is ridiculous. Yes, they've been putting a lot of cartoon, sexual references in cartoons. That's what I'm saying. And I catch it sometimes. And sometimes, the kids may not catch it though, because it's kind of an adult, but still it's inappropriate to have it in cartoons. And then now cartoons are being more with, they're kissing more and stuff in cartoons, and they're showing a lot of nudity. And even on regular television, you see guys getting out and had these 2 guys, they were kissing in a hot tub. This was regular channel. The guy stood up. He had what do you call those things? The thongs things, the one that the man wears like an underwear, but it's a swim trunks, I forgot what they call it. The Speedo things, super tight. And his bulging thing. I was like, yo, what you watching? I was telling my wife, what are you watching? Am I not good enough, honey? Am I not satisfying you, babe? Just kidding. But yeah, I thought it was inappropriate to have that, on television. I mean, your kids there. We were watching, there's a show called The Bridgerton or something on Netflix. I don't know if anybody caught that. I like the show. I like it a little bit. I mean, I know it seems like it's a kid show because it's very colorful. It's about princesses, girls wanting to, marrying a prince and stuff like that. It's about royalty, it looks very, much like a show for kids, and so I started watching it, and I was watching my daughter. I said, you might be interested in this. And my wife, and, we were watching it, and then all of a sudden, boom, sex scene, 2 of them going at it hard. And I'm trying to cover my daughter's eyes, but I'm trying to cover her ears at the same time. And then my son, is like, what the heck? And then my wife was like fidgeting with the remote control to try to change it. And, I was like, oh, I guess we can't watch that with the kids, And so it just seems like there's a lot of sex, just a lot of topics that are adult topics being pumped out to our kids. And I don't agree with that. I also want to mention, very important on this topic, Nader Sayage. And thank you for the person, I believe, was it you? Mary, Mari, that brought it up, and Nader Sayage. He is actually in support of Bill letter A as in apple, 6616, which will require comprehensive sexual instructions for students in grades K through 12, which includes a model curricula for comprehensive sexuality education, and at a minimum conforms to the content and scope of national sexuality education standards. So if he, he's supporting this, if this passes, which right now it's in committee, but if it passes, then they will teach transgender sexual orientation and all that stuff to kids in kindergarten. And again, can we compromise? K through 12, can we start it at 10th grade or 9th grade? At least the kids have developed more. They understand a little bit more about what's sex, what does that entail, right? I was watching, Playboy at a young age, okay? And I'll be honest, all right? My grandmother, we had the illegal cable box back in the day. I think the statute of limitations is passed. We had an illegal cable box that gave all the channels for free, and I was very young, and I would turn on to the Playboy channel. So as a kid, right? I don't know. I was super young, probably like 6, 7 years old. So me being, aware of this, should we introduce this to kids, in kindergarten? Should we have taught that, teach them sex? Just because as a young kid, I may not have been transgender, but I was thinking about some kind of sex, right? So, I mean, I'm just saying kids are going to, we have to wait. We can't just introduce this stuff and they're going to be curious. They may, like I was curious when I turned it on, but you say no and you just wait for a later time. I just think that you wait till they get a little older and then you start speaking to them about it, But so watch parents, young kids maybe watching nudity on TV. Anyway, folks, so if you are if you care, Nader Sage is supporting Bill A6616, which will, if passed, require that schools teach transgender, sexual orientation, all this sexual stuff. Because I don't want to like single out transgender. It's not about transgender individuals. It's not. It's just about sexual, graphic images, sexual topics, conversations to my kindergartner, my first grader, my second grader, my third grader. I don't think that's okay. I don't think that's cool. I think that we are the parents. We are the parents of these kids. And it seems like little by little, our parental rights are being taken away by the government. Remember, they wanted to, and in some states, actually, they passed a law where they allowed 12-year-olds to make the decision if they wanted to get the COVID vaccine or not. And if they made the decision, there was nothing the parent could do about it. That's right. 12 years old. If they say, I want the COVID vaccine, didn't matter if a lot of kids now have developed heart problems, even though they're not talking about it. Kids have died. They're not talking about it. Have you heard about the mysterious liver illness now? Yes, and kids, 5 people have died, 100 possible cases here in Westchester. That's right, folks. Be careful. New Jersey passed the bill. The assembly passed this bill that teaches transgender identity starting in kindergarten. So Jersey has already passed this. Today, the New Jersey State Assembly approved Bill A4454, which is signed into law by Governor Murphy, would make mandate sexual orientation and gender identity diversity lessons starting in kindergarten. It's unbelievable. Assembly members were made aware before the vote that their decisions will be scored and recorded for Family Policy Alliance of New Jersey's 2021 voter guide that will be sent to 1,500 churches and 10,000 of concerned residents prior to next year's statewide election campaigns. I'm assuming that these are individuals who are against this. So, yeah, so make note if you are against this. And this is why it's important to vote. And this is why I'm telling people we have to get out and vote, especially Latinos here in Yonkers, Latinos, Hispanics. Do you not know that we have a huge voter base and we can control who wins here in the city of Yonkers when it comes to the elections? Did you know that? That's big. That is huge, Latinos. That is huge. That's huge. To all my Latinos, Hispanics in the city of Yonkers, we can control elections if we can get it together. And I'm hoping that we will do that pretty soon. I also want to talk about Roe versus Wade. Does anyone know about that? What is Roe versus Wade? A Supreme Court draft arguing for the reversal of Roe versus Wade, which would end the federal right to abortion, was leaked. That's right. Nothing is sacred anymore, even the Supreme Court. Since the leak, abortion activists have been out in full force across the country. Experts are saying Democrats, primarily Democrats, will use this during midterm elections, while others say most people won't even want to hear about it. They will say most people don't want to hear about abortion. We got so much going on. We got the economy that's declining. Let's talk about that. We got high crime. Crime is soaring across the country, and the immigration problem, right? Latinos, I'm a Hispanic, and it's not about race. I'm going to tell you, it's not about race. Don't allow them to make the immigration issue about race. That's what they're trying to do. Those that want open border, and you know why they want people to come in, just coming in? Because they want more voters. That's right. They want more voters. The Democrats rely on keeping people ignorant and poor. And I'm a Democrat, but I'm talking about on a national level, right? Their policy has been to keep people dependent. I'm not saying that Republicans are better, because I don't think that they're much better. All I'm saying is that's why it's important that we don't vote necessarily based on party, but we vote based on the individual and who that person is and what they want to do. And also, are they someone that means what they say and are not just, blowing a lot of smoke up or what, right? So it's very important because Democrats are not understanding what's going on. And I say Democrats because it's a lot of Democrats that are not wanting to hear what's going on at the border. And this affects Westchester. It affects Westchester. And I'll tell you how. There have been planes flying into the Westchester County Airport at night, bringing in migrants from the border. Okay. And it's not just Hispanics. Okay. So my Latinos, don't get upset. It's not just Hispanics. Every people from all over the world crossing through the southern border because it is the easiest border to cross. Okay. So we're talking about terrorists, not Hispanics, not blacks, right? Terrorists, although terrorists come in all colors. I'm just saying. But when we talk about the terrorists that we have, on the news, right? Or we have drug dealings, we have human trafficking, children being abducted and taken through the border. It's a huge problem. So what's happening now is they're taking individuals from the border. I don't know who's doing this. Who's paying for this? Who's paying for this? They're renting buses like the Greyhound buses, and they're driving them to Florida. And then from Florida, they're taking planes to Westchester County. This is the fact, right? To Westchester County. But we have to think about the individuals that they're doing this to, because then once they take into Westchester County, they're loading them up on another Greyhound-like bus and driving them to a rest stop where they drop them off and let them go. They're just leaving people that just came from the border at some rest stop in Westchester. Did you guys know this? This is happening ongoing. This is ongoing. And I've got video of it. Like a journalist followed the bus after the plane landed. So who is paying for this? I just want to, so we have a lot of issues going on. So according to experts, some say that people may not care about the Roe versus Wade, although there are a lot of activists out there. But for the most part, people are focused on that economy. We are hurting in the pockets. We are hurting in the pockets. This country is going to be in for a big rude awakening soon. I promise you that, folks. Big rude awakening. So what is Roe versus Wade? Real quick before I move on. Roe versus Wade is the name of the lawsuit that led to the landmark 1973 U.S. Supreme Court decision establishing a constitutional right to abortion in the United States. The majority opinion found an absolute right to abortion during the first trimester of pregnancy. Right? Who were Roe and Wade? Jane Roe was a pseudonym for Norma McCorvey, who was a 22, unmarried, unemployed, and pregnant for the third time in 1969. Now, should we get controversial here? Should I get controversial here? Freddie, listen, I'm going to read this again. She was a 22-year-old, unmarried, unemployed, and pregnant for the third time in 1969 when she sought to have an abortion in Texas. Wow, of all places. By the time the U.S. Supreme Court ruled in her favor, McCorry had given birth to a girl whom she placed for adoption. Better choice. Why did I read that again? I read it again because she said she was pregnant for a third time, 22 years old. It's a statistical fact that people, the majority of people getting abortions are getting either at least their second or third abortion. Statistical fact. Now, I don't want to judge anyone. I'm not judging anyone, please. With all due respect, I have respect for everyone, okay? My mother got pregnant when she was heading off to prison, okay? So, my mother was a 21-year-old woman, unmarried, heading off to jail, to prison, to serve several years with me in her belly, okay? So I want to just give you that background. And I say that because we have to take some responsibility. I feel people have to take some responsibility. The fact that statistically, majority of people who are getting abortions are on their second and third abortion suggests that some people are using this as a contraceptive. And that's what I don't think is okay. I don't think it's okay. I understand things happen. Things absolutely happen. I get it. A lot of things has happened in my life. that I've had to deal with. So I know things happen, but we have to also be responsible, and we also have to make better decisions. And oftentimes what separates people from those who succeed and those who don't succeed is just a set of decisions that were made. Like I tell people come to me all the time, Freddie, how do how you get to do this? How you do that, man? I want to, get to where you at, in life one day. I get people all the time, especially people that know me from the neighborhood. They saw my progress. And I say, listen, I start by saying, I'm no better than you. I don't have anything more special than you. The only difference is the decisions that I made. The decisions that I made. And I didn't make all right decisions. I'm not saying that. But you have to make more right ones than wrong ones, right? And if you, on your third pregnancy and you're 22 unmarried, maybe you're not making the right decisions in life. That's all I'm saying. And I say that because in order to help the youth, because that's what I want to do, and that's what I am doing here in the city of Yonkers, we have to help them understand this. You want to succeed in life, and you want to try to get there with the least amount of struggles. Then you have to make certain decisions, right? You have to make certain decisions. And if you do decide to, then maybe, you have to willing to take the responsibility of a child. So I'm not judging people. Again, I don't want to come off as judging people. I definitely don't want to come off as judging people. My mother was a single mother, 2 kids. I was born in a prison hospital. I spent 8 months in prison hospital, Bedford Women's Facility. They have a nursery there for kids, for women who are pregnant. So if they go into there and they're incarcerated there and they are pregnant, they can give birth and they can keep the baby there. They can stay up to a year. They can stay up to a year with the mom, because that is the most, those early, that first year, those early months, the baby and the mother and the child are connecting. They're bonding. So they had this program in there that they started around the time that my mother was there. So, I know what it's like for people to struggle. We were homeless, my mother and I. So I'm not judging people. What I'm trying to say is that we have to try to make the best decisions, in life. Life is tough. It's not easy, especially if you are a Latino, if you're a Black person, if you're a Hispanic person. It's tough, and you're in poverty. It's not easy. We have to work hard, sometimes harder, and we have to really make sure we make the best decisions, because we of many times cannot afford to make a bad decision. I didn't have mom and dad there to, as a safety net. And many of us growing up in poverty, we don't have that safety net. So we have to make sure that we're making decisions, we thinking them through, right? And if you, happen to find yourself in that situation, there is help. There is definitely help. You can do it. You can definitely do it. My mother did it. My mother considered it. I was almost aborted. Yeah, I almost was not here. She considered it. But it was my dad who really was like, no, we're going to do this. He was like, once you get out, we're going to do this. It didn't work out that way. They tried. But thank you, Dad. And I love my mother too. Now, it was a tough situation for her. It was a tough situation. How do you have a child and you're incarcerated, right? But I'm here. And by the grace of God, it turned out good. So I want to send this message, and I don't know if it will ever get to the women in Bedford. What I do want to say is that, your kids have a chance. If you're a woman and you're in Bedford women's facility and you have a child there, your child has a chance. Definitely has a chance. It's not over. It's definitely not over. And I'm living proof of that. Anyway, moving on. We'll see what happens. We'll see if they overturn that. But if they do overturn it real quick, that will mean that it will be up to the states to decide whether or not abortion will be legal in that state. So it's big because there are states that are just totally against it. You know, there's some states that very super conservative. So people are concerned if it gets overturned, those states will start to make it illegal. And some states already have. Texas, I believe, Oklahoma, even maybe some women have to go outside of the state to get an abortion. So, you know, if you're interested in following that, that's the latest on that. Anyway, I want to go on really quick before I get up out of here. Oh, wait, let me show my man Jose Alvarado. Let's kind of change things up. Let's change the atmosphere, you know, the mood. I was getting a little emotional there. This is Jose Alvarado, Westchester County legislator. And the man's got a great voice. Let me tell you. I hung out with him one time at Dos Marias one night. We were at Mayor Mount Vernon's event. Then I went over to John Rubo. David Tuviolo had an event, and I wound up at Dos Marias with this guy, legislator Jose Alvarado. And that's where I learned that he had a great voice, and he did some karaoke. So I want to show that really quick.
Yo la quisiera lastimar, tal vez lo que me cuenta sea verdad. Lamento contrariarla, pero yo no la recuerdo. Si no le gusta a José, paramos. Pero no se vale llorar y acordarse de esos amores ahora. Hoy estamos celebrando.
He said, if you don't like this guy, Jose, I forgot last name, let me know. But don't leave. Because they don't seem to be feeling it.
Gastándome la piel en recordar.
That's Westchester County legislator Jose Alvarado, who I haven't seen in a while. Where you been? You been out there on the circuit? You been on tour? You on American Idol? I haven't seen Jose Alvarado there, but I learned that he had a really good voice one night at Dos Marias where he participated in karaoke, and he was pretty good. I was like, wow, I thought it was actually the record playing. He was that good. So I just wanted to show that. I saw that video earlier today. I thought it was funny. The people didn't seem to be entertained, Jose. They were there for a specific reason, not to hear you sing. And I don't even want to say what someone said. I was going to say it, but I'm not going to, because I say it. I like Jose. That's why I don't want to say it. I can't say it. I'm not going to say it. I'm going to actually have restraint. Moving on. I want to talk about again really quick. I did mention about allegations made on Councilman John Rubo, right? Why were the allegations made? Well, he accused a city resident of being a scammer. At that point, the city resident got fed up and just said, you know what? I'm tired of this. And she told about an incident between her, John Rubo, and Zehi Juris, where they were at a diner. John Rubo and Zehi Juris had offered her a city job, paying $60,000 to $70,000 if she did not run against John Rubo, councilman for the 4th District. She had been holding it in for a while, but just couldn't hold it in anymore that day because she was fed up after the councilman, John Rubo, called her a scammer in front of everybody at the Bernice Bregman Center. She was tired of the attacks. And then, after saying it on the Yonkers Voice, after the anger wore off, she began to fear began to set in. And I asked why, what was her concern? And she was concerned about retribution, retaliation. And I was asking her why, from who, how are they going to, retaliate? How are they going to, get at you? And she said, they're going to harass me. They're going to do, that's what they do. That's just what they do. And then she notified me, or she sent me some screenshots from 2020, where a city employee was using a fake Facebook account, to harass people here in the city of Yonkers who spoke up and criticized elected officials. And I just want to show that real quick because this is a very real thing here in the city. And I'm going to explain to you how, why, and another story I'm going to give you after I show you this. This is from Yonkers Voice, a post. Yonkers video journalist Ruro says Yonkers City Council aide Stephen Tvert, whatever, is using a fake Facebook account called Mickey Williams to attack council members. However, that's not true. He was not attacking council members. That is a lie. The council, they wanted him to throw that in there because the council members didn't want to be a part of it. But the council members are a part of attacking people. He's not attacking people for himself. He's attacking people on behalf of council members. That's a fact. But they wanted to make it seem like, oh, we're being attacked too. That's a lie. He was just attacking Carolyn and other residents, right? Reporter Ruro says the alleged harassment happened during working hours on the City of Yonkers social media page. Stephen Tvert, or whatever his name is, quickly apologized for the incident during the tense Yonkers budget meeting. So this happened during a city council meeting, okay? Why is he apologetic? Because he was caught. Attached here are the screenshots of the comments that were being posted. I was contacted by the other person involved. See her email. I have spoken to multiple council members and they are all upset. Some say they were also victims of the harassment. That's a lie. They were not. They were the reason why the harassment was happening. I was also told by some council members that John Rubio, Majority Leader Corazon Pineda are downplaying this and are not taking action to deal with this situation. Why? Because they probably were part of the ones who were sending this guy, John Rubio, especially because it's on a person that he's been having issues with. Mickey Williams is a fake account, fake profile being used by Steve Tvert, or whatever you say. We want to hear from you about what you think about the consequences should be, blah, blah, blah. This is the comments here. It was during a meeting, and this is a city employee. Oh, no, lady, I don't need a government job. I do very well as a business owner myself. When he got caught here. So I have that up on my page. You can go check it out. This letter is regarding the story you posted on your page involving City Hall employee Mr. Stephen Tvert. My name is Carolyn Elizabeth Marie, and my information is featured in one of the screenshots exposing the gentleman's unprofessional behavior. Additionally, there are some issues within your story I would like to address. Firstly, Councilman Rubio's statement is misleading. Mr. Tvert may have apologized to a victim of yesterday's attack. However, during yesterday's Yonkers City Council meeting, he communicated with multiple people under the Facebook alias of Mickey Williams. Unfortunately, I was the individual that was subjected to his crude and slanderous comments that were documented in the aforementioned screenshots. Ironically, Mr. Stephen Tvert falsely accused me of nepotism, but he obtained a position in City Hall's mailroom when his father was an employee. Furthermore, once he obtained an influential position in City Hall, he then secured a position for his brother as a Yonkers Police Department dispatcher. For the record, yesterday was not the first time he has used Mickey Williams' profile to direct inappropriate comments towards me on social media. Yesterday, however, he was the first time he was caught. Mr. Tvert has not contacted me, nor have I received an apology from him. I would like to know what further action will be taken to address his abuse of power at the taxpayer's expense. Mr. Tvert's conduct was premeditated bullying. He took the time to create a Facebook profile in order to publicly harass Yonkers residents during official government meetings. This situation should be addressed accordingly. If necessary, I will file a formal complaint. And I want to put that out there. I want to make that be very known by everyone. I know it was already put out there in the Yonkers Voice stuff. I'm not sure how many people see it, but I want to talk about it again because this is something that these council members have been known to do. Okay, so people said to me the other day, I put up the thing about Tasha Diaz. I should say, oh, Freddie, why are you saying now this, that? Listen, those people are mean. Those people attack people, and I have many people who have come up to me and told me what they've done. Many people are scared to come out. They don't want to even bring it up anymore, but they've told me what they've done. They're threats, business owners. I've been a victim also. This is how basement politics started. And that is why members of the community like Carolyn Elizabeth Marie are afraid to come out and speak their truth, although she's becoming more empowered, more emboldened, more courageous every day, and she's speaking out. And I want to continue to put that out there because I was the victim also of a similar attack by city council members. And that's a fact. That's a fact. These individuals purposely try to hurt my business, my daycare business. They wanted to put it out there that I was some crazy, deranged individual, although I have no police record, no history, nothing on paper that suggests that. The only paperwork I have with my name on it are my degrees, bachelor's and an MBA, as well as the deeds to my companies and everything else I have. That's it. But they tried to hurt my business because they were upset. They were upset that they were being held accountable for not doing their jobs. And I was tagging them. This was before basement politics. So I know that you're telling the truth, Carolyn. I believe you 1,000% because it happened to me. And because it happened to me, basement politics exists. I didn't want to be a podcaster. I don't want to be a podcaster. I just want to be the guy that tells you what the hell is going on here in the city of Yonkers. I want to be the guy that people can tell what's going on here if they're afraid to tell it themselves, and I will put it out there. I'm going to be the guy that's going to put out the truth, that's going to work and push hard to create change and to change our city government, make it look like a respectable one that operates with the people in mind first. That's what I'm here to do now. And I'm going to be pushing. And there are a lot of people that are behind me. Trust me, just because you don't hear them, just because you don't see them, does not mean they're not there. So you guys need to be looking out because we're coming and we're done. You've abused your powers and your positions for far too long. You've done nothing for the people. You've done nothing for anyone but yourselves. And I'm the guy that's calling it out now. And I am Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics. Thank you for joining me. I'm here to create change, and I appreciate the support. And I'm going to be that guy that's going to fight for our kids in kindergarten, first grade, second grade. I'm the guy that's going to start fighting for our schools to improve. It's great that we hear new schools being built, but what about the old schools that we have? Many are run down. Many have asbestos. Things are not working like ACs, overcrowded, lacking services and resources for students with IEPs. Too many parents are complaining about their kids and their IEPs and the services and the programs that are not offered in the schools for students who need these services. Things are going to change. I'm going to keep pushing. I'm going to be consistent. This is only the beginning. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics. Thank you for joining me. Have a happy Saturday. I can't wait to the elections next year. I'm so excited. I'm so excited about the elections next year. And by the way, Nader and Mike Breen, that election is coming up this year. Let us not forget. And again, if Nader Sage and others have their way, they will be teaching sex to our kids in kindergarten. And there's nothing that we will be able to do about it as parents. So this is not just about teaching sex, but this is about parental rights. And when are we going to draw the line? I'm Freddie Vasquez. Again, thank you for joining me. Have a good night, folks. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Freddie wins.
I am Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. Make sure you check out previous episodes of Basement Politics and past interviews with elected officials such as Congressman Jamal Bowman, Senator Shelley Mayer, and others. I can't even remember.
You're watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddie Vasquez. You're watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddie Vasquez.
In another one, Mr. Rubo lied to me. And I don't vote for a person that lied to me. Thank you.
Helen off easy.
Are we doing interviews right now?
Yes, I sent that text message yesterday if you had any questions for the candidates.
Yes, but I thought it was going to be like after we went through the agenda, we would then do interviews. But I'm okay. I don't have any questions.
I was raised in housing. I don't think you were. I want.
You know, what is that sweet spot?
Letting Helen off easy.
Are you doing interviews right now?
Yes, I sent that text message yesterday if you had any questions for the candidate.
Freddie wins. Fatality.
No! I'm out of here, folks. Good night. Yo, what's my other sound effects, man?
I was raised in housing. I don't think you were. I went to Yonkers Public Schools. I don't think you did. We can go on all night with this, honey.
Freddie wins. Fatality.
No!